You're probably wondering right now, is this even any good? We're gonna try it right now. Nice and delicious. And I'm gonna show you in this video how you can make this specific dish. It just really brings out the flavor of the ocean, but also using leftovers to really bring things back to life. And we're gonna try it right now. But let's go ahead, let's eat in, let's dig in, let's see what we're thinking. Mmm. Mmm. The sugar, the sweetness, the honey really brings out the flavor of the vodka. We'll have to have a little bit of that red crushed pepper to really knock it out of the park. Incorporated with the garlic butter. Mussels really brings everything to life. This is phenomenal. You have to make this. We'll just go ahead and try some of the mussels right now. Mmm. Wow. But go ahead and make this. Watch this video. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let me know in the comment section below if you guys made this. And what is your family recipe? What do you guys want me to make next? Hey everyone, welcome. So for today's video, we're going to be making and using our leftover tomato pepper soup that we made the other day. If you guys remember watching that video, really good, it's delicious. I'm also now going to teach you in this video how you can repurpose your leftovers into pasta sauce. We got our mussels, also garlic butter flavor. You can get this at your local Aldi. You can either get the original or you can get this one or whatever one you want. It doesn't really matter. Just as long as it, personally, it will taste good with your sauce or your soup. This will be really good. So we are going to be using mussels and garlic butter sauce. And then we are also going to be making some spaghetti. You can also get this at your local Aldi as well. I made sure I got the one that is more white. White is better for you because it has less gluten. So if you have a gluten allergy, I don't have a medical license, so do not take this as in such. This video just for entertainment, for educational purposes only as well. But this is spaghetti, and spaghetti, specifically when it's more whiter, is better, more healthier for your body. So definitely go ahead and grab yourself one of those. If you see one even whiter than that, go ahead and grab that one instead. We are also going to be including vodka into our soup, now going to be made and turned into pasta sauce. And I also grabbed myself some more handy dandy garlic. I actually found garlic. We also have tomato paste that we're going to use. We have some fresh basil flowers, which is really good. We have basil, of course. And then we also have some fresh oregano from the garden. So grab yourself that if you haven't already. We also grab yourself a nice fresh onion or yellow onion or sweet onion. And then we also have here a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes from the garden as well. So I got these sun-dried tomatoes with the beefsteak tomatoes. Also, we are going to be using some of my homegrown cherry tomatoes. We also got this sweet and seedless, pepper. You can find it at any store. Most stores carry this brand or any brand, but it's very similar. And then we also got ourselves some yellow onion. I recommend it was a sweet onion, but he didn't have any, so I opted for the yellow onion, which is the closest thing that we can get. We are also be using basil, oregano, and thyme from the garden. You're going to need yourself a handy dandy pot to put the soup in. You are going to either need your blender or your puree, whatever you prefer. All right, and also, before I forget, a good old fancy sharp knife and an anti-grip cutting board. All right, so let's get on with it. We have a lot to get through in today's video, but I just want to show you a quick preview of what the consistency of this soup looks like. You kind of know what you're walking into. You kind of know what we're doing today, but this video is basically showing you how to do leftovers, use your leftovers, and repurpose them for a better, more lavish meal, if you will. So as you can see, this is the tomato soup right now. You can kind of already see that it's already chunky. That's good. That's exactly what we want. It has a little bit extra liquid because it was a soup base. We are now repurposing the leftover into pasta sauce and making our own homemade marinara sauce. But essentially here, you're going to see that it needs to get reduced a little bit more on a nice simmer setting. We're going to do that. We're also going to add some alcohol into this as well. And we're also going to incorporate some more fresh tomatoes, basil, garlic, you name it, to also raise the levels. So when it gets reduced, we're not going to be left over maybe like an inch of marinara sauce. We want at least to have a good, decent amount. Okay, so now the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to set up our pot. I don't know where it is. We're going to set up our pot for the spaghetti when I want it to start getting ready to boil. I just realized that this might be the wrong pot. because essentially we need this more so for the pasta sauce. So we're gonna put the marinara sauce in this. But I recommend a larger pot so if the water starts to boil from the amount of starch that's in the spaghetti, you're going to want a bigger one so you can maintain the bubble. This is already washed, already pre-cleaned. I was originally going to use this, but now I realize we're going to put the pasta sauce in this and put the pasta actually in here to cook it. And then once we're done, we're going to add the mussels in after they're cooked. And then we're going to transfer everything into this pot. Okay, so now the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put hot water in it. If your steak has high temperature of hot water, put it on the hottest setting, let it run for like a couple seconds. Get it on the hottest setting, add the hot water in here. I recommend about halfway point. And add in some Himalayan salt or any type of salt you have laying around. Just put it in here, and then once it starts to boil, then we can start incorporating our spaghetti. Okay, so this is exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for the halfway point, kind of see it steamy. Gotta put it on the hottest water setting. By doing so, it decreases the amount of time that you have to wait for the boiling point. So I got myself my handy dandy Himalayan pink salt. We're gonna incorporate this into the water mixture, and I'm going to mix it. I'm going to turn on the stove. We're going to let it put on the highest setting possible. And to keep it on, let's make sure it doesn't bubble or boil over. And then you're going to want to reduce the heat setting once you incorporate the pasta. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to slowly incorporate our leftover soup base into this pot. And we're going to make our marinara sauce. Okay, so now that we have our handy dandy spatula, doesn't matter the holiday, we are going to slowly pour in the soup. Gonna make sure it doesn't splatter. We get all of this goodness out. As you can see, there's not a lot of marinara sauce. That's a problem. So we're gonna have to make more. But by having more of a larger surface, it's going to allow for more evaporation, making this more likely to become pasta sauce rather than soup. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate our red tomato paste, and then we are actually going to add more to this before we set it on the stove. We're going to grab ourselves a nice can opener, and we're going to open our tomato paste. There's many ways you can use this. I'm just going to do it this way because that's the way that I'm familiar with. Just do however you feel most comfortable. Just be careful with the metal piece. You don't want to cut yourself. And we are going to slowly incorporate with our spatula the tomato paste into the marinara sauce. This is going to help us thicken the sauce quite a bit. That's exactly what we're looking for. About one should be enough. If you have, depending on the amount of leftovers you have, the pasta sauce is really good. So I have no ifs or buts about it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to either pour in water into this to get the leftover meat or pour alcohol in this. Because our recipe is going to incorporate alcohol, just one shot of this will be enough. We're going to add some vodka. But why not? I personally don't like to drink vodka, but I do love it in my pasta sauce, so we're going to incorporate it. Alright, we're going to pour this in. There's a little bit more in there. I guess we're going to pour some more vodka sauce. I guess you can say this is quite the drunken pasta sauce already. Oh, wow, we don't have that much vodka. Alright, well, I guess we'll just pour the whole thing in there. Don't allow for that to happen. Alright, so pour the entire vodka sauce in, it's completely fine. Because like we said, we are going to also incorporate more garlic, more tomatoes in here, and onions and all that. So we're going to make that base. Now we're going to put this on the stove just so we can start allowing it to mend together, start evaporating, and allow all the flavors to go really well together. So as you can see, this is almost ready to boil in. It's not quite there, but we'll get in there. You're going to take your little spatula, just going to mix it one more time to make sure that all the salt is evenly incorporated. Okay, now on to our tomato soup or pasta sauce. We're going to turn this on medium heat, and we're going to occasionally stir the pasta sauce. So now we're going to incorporate our spaghetti. Now you want to be very careful when you're doing it because when you're dealing with pasta and heavy in starch, and by adding hot water, it's going to burn your hand. It's going to bubble very quickly. So be very careful. Don't try to throw it in. But try to slowly put it in, but also be very careful with yourself. So this looks like a good decent amount. Remember, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. So we're going to incorporate that in. I think I need a little bit more. We're going to grab a handful. We're going to make this for my coworkers as well. And we're just going to toss that in. That's it. And we're going to let it slowly simmer. And then we're going to give it a quick taste test in a little bit. See if the starch is gone or does it need some more cooking time. We are now going to lower a little bit the temperature on the spaghetti hot water. We're going to put it on medium just so it's not as hot, it's not as oily, and it cooks more evenly. And as for the tomato soup, we're going to leave this on medium for about a couple minutes, and then we're going to put it on simmer. And now we're going to go ahead and make more of the tomato nowadays to allow more flavor to be incorporated into this pan. Okay, so as you can tell, the pasta sauce right now is being reduced very slowly. And you can kind of see it's boiling with the pasta sauce. Now, if you take a look at the spaghetti, you can kind of tell based on the starchiness, it is definitely not cooked because the edges are very hard. And so to allow this to kind of simmer a little bit longer, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to use whatever this weird tool is. Okay, so now the next thing that we are going to do, we're going to get our handy dandy blender and we're going to start incorporating our yellow onion, our basil and oregano. We're going to also add in some a little bit of garlic and whatever other seasonings you want to add into the mixture. We're going to give it a quick taste test as well, once it's all incorporated, see how good the marinara sauce tastes. And we're also going to keep an eye on, make sure you're constantly stirring the pasta sauce and the pasta itself to make sure it doesn't sit and start burning at the bottom of the pot. But let's go ahead, let's start incorporating our ingredients into this blender. Okay, so now for the most easiest part, we're just going to pop in our basil flowers, our basil and our oregano first, just to get it incorporated on the bottom so it actually gets blended finally into the marinara sauce. Then what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to take off any sort of greenery, if there's any leaves, anything like that. Pop these off because they are toxic. You can leave this on because it's going to get blended. Otherwise, cut them off if you're just going to smash them yourself. We're just going to pop it in just like that. We even have these as well from the garden. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. They taste amazing. So we're just going to go ahead and have you just put as many as you want in it. Now, if you want to really add more to the flavor, I would recommend roasting these tomatoes in the oven at 400 for about 20 minutes before you pop it into the blender. If you want to add more of that roasted style pasta sauce that you're looking for. I'm going to show you in another video how to make that, but right now we're just making homemade fresh tomato sauce from the garden. And that looks like a good amount of tomatoes. We are now going to add in some chopped onion. You can add in some seasoning now if you prefer. Just make sure you keep an eye on the pasta sauce and the pasta itself. And this will be the time you want to start incorporating. So as it gets blended, it all gets incorporated together with it. I'm going to also add in a tiny, teeny bit of water just so that when we pop it into the marinara sauce, it gets reduced very slowly. Okay, so we got us some hot water. We're going to slowly pour this in. This is going to allow the machine to be able to slice this up a lot quicker and more evenly. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to set aside our blended stuff so far. We're going to get our handy dandy knife. And we're also going to grab ourselves this yellow onion and we are going to cut it. So if you want to make it easy, just go like this. Cut it in half and then peel. It is a little bit easier if you want to be able to get the first layer off. Okay, so now that we have peeled our onion, because it is going to go pop right into the blender, all you need to do is cut off the roots and then pop it into the blender. Make sure you have a little sharp tip facing onto the cutting board and just slice right through. That's all you gotta do. And if you don't have that much bigger of a blender, cut it in half, and then pop this into the top of the blender. Or whatever way, it doesn't really matter, it's all gonna get blended. We're gonna repeat, wash your fingers. Okay. Perfect. Now we're just gonna clean our cutting board and then we're gonna get ready for our garlic. Okay, so now here comes the hard part. Now here's some ways that you can actually use garlic. You can actually use garlic as a whole and pop it right into your pasta sauce, or you can cut it up and blend it, or you can do both. In my case, I'm going to do both. I'm going to pop some of this into the blender itself, maybe like 2 or 3 cloves, and then maybe pop 1 or 2 into the actual sauce itself as whole. But it already has, if you guys remember, if you watched my tomato pepper soup video, you will remember I added in granulated garlic powder. So it already has garlic already incorporated. But because we're going to be diluting the base and adding more into it, we're going to need to add in more flavor because it is going to get diluted, and that's not what you want when you're making pasta sauce. You want it to be fresh, you want it to be tasty, you want it to be flavorful, so we're going to make sure it stays that way. Just peel as easily as you can, just make sure there's no skin, so when it does get blended up, you're not blending the skin, because that's probably disgusting. I don't know what it tastes like, I don't intend to taste it, you know, whatever. This looks perfectly fine. We're going to pop it into the blender, and that looks pretty much good. We are going to just do 2 more, and we're going to pop it itself into the pasta sauce later on. Alright, well for this aspect, because you're popping it into the sauce, cut the ends off. You don't need the ends. But because it's getting blended, it doesn't really matter. But because you're going to be popping this into the pasta sauce, just make sure you cut the ends. You want to pop it into the sauce in a moment. But we're going to go ahead and put this on the blender. Okay, so now that we have our base ready, you can start seasoning some more. We're going to add in some pink Himalayan salt. Be careful with the salt. You can always add in more. We're just going to add a little sprinkle in. That'll take a decent amount. And then we're going to top this off with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then we're going to start blending. Okay, so we've got our organic extra virgin olive oil. We're going to pour a little bit of this in. It already has it incorporated from the sun-dried tomatoes. That'll take a good amount. And we are going to start blending. Just make sure you put a lid on this first. Okay, so because some of you guys might have acid reflux like me, especially with the high acidity, you can also add in some honey or some sort of sweetener into the pasta sauce, and this is going to allow to balance out some of that acid that's from the tomatoes. We're just going to pour this in. A decent amount will do because I didn't incorporate this in the original recipe, so we're going to also compensate a little bit more. That'll get a decent amount of honey. We're now going to get ready to blend. But the honey is optional, or sweetener is optional, but I have acid reflux, so this is definitely going to help me later on. Okay, so now that we have our thing locked in, we are going to turn on our machine, and we are going to put it on food puree for about 1 minute. Okay, so now that we have our pasta sauce ready made, we're going to add in some heavy whipping cream into this mixture, and by doing so, it's going to allow it to become very creamy and very incorporated with the vodka sauce that we added into the original base. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to eyeball this, but for some of you guys, you can add in about a cup. I'm just going to eyeball this a decent amount. I do love a nice creamy pasta sauce. Let's take a look. I think we might need a little bit more. That looks good about good. We're going to put the lid back on here and blend it for about 15 seconds. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do, we're just going to turn this on one more time, put it back on food puree. Okay, so now that we have officially finished our base, we're going to pour this into our main original base. Just make sure you're always constantly mixing throughout the entire process. Just make sure the bottom doesn't burn. And you kind of see here, I put this on very low simmer, so the pasta sauce doesn't burn. We're going to raise up the temperature now that we're ready and we're more attentive to the stove. Okay, so now the next thing you're going to want to do is you want to take your new mixture and slowly pour it into the original mixture. Now be very careful, it is very hot. You want to make sure you can very careful with the skin. If I can get them slowly pour in. Okay, we're going to mix as we go. I've been feeling the lid is going to close. And you want to slowly incorporate this in. Okay, so because our pasta sauce base is kind of runny after incorporating both into this mixture, we are going to start to raise the temperature ever so slightly. We're going to turn this up to medium simmer, right about there. And we're going to allow, and keep an eye on it to allow it to slowly evaporate. We're going to start to incorporate our garlic cloves into this mixture now. Okay, so we have our two garlics that we peeled already earlier. We're going to pop it into the marinara sauce, or whatever you want to call it, the drunken pasta sauce, don't really know. But we're going to allow it to simmer a little bit. We're going to give it a quick taste test right now to kind of see what we're working with and what needs more seasoning, what if it needs any at all. It might not need any. You might need some salt, if anything. So you want to grab yourself a nice spoon and want to give it a quick taste test. Make sure you mix first. Make sure it's all incorporated so you get the fullness of the flavor. Ooh. Got vodka sauce really hits you in the back of the throat, but you guys need time to sit and incorporate that onion flavor. Really comes out very strongly here. So we're going to ask for seasoning. It's a little bit more on the watery side, so definitely need some salt and some black pepper. So we'll incorporate that right now. All right, so we're going to slowly sprinkle in some Himalayan salt. Less is more in this instance. Remember earlier we added Himalayan salt into the blended mix. We're going to mix it after we add in the black pepper because I know for some reason we're going to mix it. There's no need to. When you're going to add another thing into it anyway. We're also adding some black pepper. That's a good amount. And let's mix it and see how it tastes from that point on. It doesn't taste acid at all. That's really good. I guess you can say at this point this is like homemade honey vodka sauce that we made our own version of. But once you get the taste correct, all it is just needs to simmer, and all that bitterness from the vodka sauce is going to dissipate. I decided to evaporate, leaving whatever's left behind from the vodka sauce, but it's going to be incorporated all together without any sort of bitterness. We're going to try again to make sure we got the seasoning correct. It's a little bit lemony, so we're going to try to figure this out a little bit. I'm going to allow it to incorporate and kind of evaporate a little bit, and then we're going to be focused back on a little bit about the seasoning aspect. Okay, so I just got done with some dishes. So in order to like really enjoy cooking, art cooking without being overloaded and overly scratch, is to always maintain a standard top of your cookware. Make sure it's always clean. You're done using it, clean it, and put it away, dry it, and it helps those time as you're waiting. So pour in the pasta sauce now. You're going to start to see it start to boil and bubble over, which is really good. I raised the temperature to medium to try to help with that reduction of the amount of liquid, because I can see it's quite runny, and this is not what we want. We don't want it to be quite runny. We want it to be nice and thick. So you can actually thicken this in multiple ways. You can add in heavy whipping cream like I did before, or you can also add in some cornstarch as well. I personally am not going to use cornstarch. Every time I use it, I'm just going to mess it up. But always start with something. I'm not going to attempt this tomato sauce. But if you want to go ahead and you know what you're doing, you know how to use cornstarch, go ahead by all means. Now, as for the pasta sauce itself, it is certainly not ready. Actually, it looks ready. Hold on. Okay, it's very sticky. This is not what we want. It's very sticky. So we're going to pop this back into the mixture. We're going to raise the temperature. And because on the starch side, we're going to add in some more Himalayan salt to try to break up some of that starch. and we're going to mix it until all the salt is incorporated into the hot water, and we're going to raise the temperature of the spaghetti pasta sauce. The spaghetti. We're going to raise the temperature of the spaghetti. Make sure that it cooks when you want to raise the temperature to about almost high, a little bit above medium, but high. We're going to do that ahead. And as for this, we're going to keep this on medium. It's starting to bubble. This is fine. It's boiling now. We're going to lower the temperature on the sauce a little bit so it doesn't start boiling over. That's not what we want. We don't want the pasta sauce to start boiling. We want it to evaporate, yes. We don't want it to start boiling. So this is perfectly fine. This is okay. Any bigger bubbles than these little mini bubbles, that's a problem. Lower the temperature. All right, so now that we have our bubbles here, it's now time to give it a taste. As you remember earlier, we have to get you with the taste because it's too much overpowering now. With the onion, we're going to see what are some ways that we can complement the onion without trying to bring down the flavor overall. Because remember, this is a vodka sauce that we're making. So you want to take one of your testing spoons, you want to get a decent amount, and you just want to blow on it to make sure any sort of heat has consumed or has left. You just want to blow on it to make sure you don't burn your tongue. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the vodka itself is very, over here is very prevalent. We're going to add in a little bit of sugar. It does seem like it needs something sweet to kind of offset some of that bitterness. But I have some organic cane sugar. Make sure even if we added some honey, I guess it's going to be one hit. So we add something a little bit stronger. We're going to add in some organic cane sugar. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I just need a pasta sauce. For the vodka sauce right now is being heavily reduced on medium. This is good. We're going to allow it to simmer. We're going to stir this a little bit. In the meantime, you can kind of see there's a lot of boiling activity happening over here. You can kind of see how thick the spaghetti got. We're going to give it a nice taste test, see if it's ready. Okay, so now that we have hot boiling water and the pasta ready, we're going to give the pasta a quick taste test. This is very good. If it's good, we're going to drain out the hot water and let the pasta cool. Or we're going to let it sit and start cooking a little bit more. We'll try it again a little bit. We're going to try to see if we can fish one of the pasta strands to get it out. Now, we can put a fork. I need difficult, and I need a fork. Well, give it a taste test. If the taste starts eating, it's fine. And if the taste starts to decline, it's going to be crump, and we're good. It feels like it needs about a good 5 more minutes, and then the pasta is perfect. In the meantime, earlier we mentioned how with the pasta, so we're adding into sauce mixture, was a little bit more on the bitterness side. After we have organic cane sugar, we're going to take our 1/4 cup, measure cup, and we're going to incorporate the sugar in here to balance out some of that bitterness. We're going to let it sit for a little bit, and then we're going to give it another taste test. And if you're adding too much sugar, don't worry, you can balance it out with more salt. We're going to now stir this, try to get all the organic cane sugar fully incorporated into the soup itself. I mean, into the pasta sauce itself, my bad. All right, that looks good. We're going to let it sit for a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to test out one of the spaghetti so it's ready. You want to talk with the good to get to the pasta be ready. It's not sticky anymore in my hand the second time around, so it's ready. Perfect. We're going to strain out the hot water. slowly into your sink and put it in the sink. Pour the spaghetti into this and put it in the rest of the spaghetti. Okay, so we just poured our spaghetti into the tray, we're ready to cool down. In the meantime, we're going to see how the sugar has been incorporated into the vodka sauce that we made. Ooh. It's perfect, it's just mixing something. I think it might be mixing red hot pepper. We're going to add that in. Okay, so here's to me as I was making it. Yeah, sugar itself actually got rid of the bitterness from the vodka sauce. That's really good. I'm happy with that. We're also going to add in some crushed red pepper. We're light sprinkle, not too much. But enough to add as long as that's coming out of sugar. You can also add salt as well if you want to also not add something spicy, but you want to offset some of that sugar, you can add a little bit of salt. I'm going to add in some of my flavors seasoning, coriander. We're going to do a little like sprinkle of this. Perfect. It's going to really bring out more of the flavor. That's exactly what we're looking for. And then we're going to top it off with a little bit of fennel seed, which is also one of my favorites to incorporate when trying to make super added with flavor. So like sprinkle, and we're going to stir this a little bit more, but before that we're going to add a little bit more salt and you feel like it's going to clap a little bit of that. That looking at a good amount, and we're going to stir. So you can kind of see it ready. So as I mentioned, you kind of see it's starting to get slightly chunkier. That's good. It's going to take us a little bit more time, but I believe we're going to get there. Okay, so now it's time for another taste test. Let's see how it tastes. It's good. It's missing something still. No, I think it's missing basil. We're going to add some more basil. Okay, so the reason why I said that we might use some basil is because as I was making it, I actually didn't use any basil at all. So I got a whole bunch from the garden. We're going to separate and chop it in. You can also add in the flowers to make it more potent. Okay, so as you're waiting for the basil to sit in here and really bring out some of that flavor, we're going to go ahead and step aside and peel some garlic cloves and pop some garlic cloves in here. I'm getting it to about 3 more. And then we have some more garlic cloves that we're going to pop in here, hopefully bring more of that garlic flavor out. And also, as well, is we have a roll in here, about 5 garlic cloves full, and then we have 2 garlic cloves that we incorporate and we blend it into about a total of about 6 to 7 garlic cloves with tail box sauce. We're going to allow them to simmer some more. In the meantime, we're going to get ready and start our mussels. So as you can see, as we start to mix the pasta sauce a bit, you can kind of see it starting to become really chunky. This is good. This is exactly what we want. So we're going to let this simmer out some more. That red, dark red on the top is olive oil mixed with the tomatoes. And in the meantime, we're going to get this pan ready for the mussels. Okay, so we have our mussels garlic sauce. I had it down a little bit. It was boring. That's good. You can allow it to stay frozen if you wanted to, and just cook it on the pan. It does not matter. Although I would love to get mussels, but I mean mussels from like a seafood place. It was inconvenient for me to grab, and I also wanted to show you guys it's on a budget. So when I cut this open, I'm going to incorporate this on our pan. Okay, so I got my handy dandy scissors, and we're going to cut it open. Now, if you have a flame top, I just add liquid in it. You want to be very careful because it can go right underneath and take a flame. Put the curry incorporate this in, like that. Okay, so we just finally poured in our mussels. We're now going to set it up and get our stove ready for this. We're gonna put this on a nice between medium and simmer. We're gonna put this on right here, just kind of let it slowly start to cook up. We're gonna want it to cook this a little slower so that we can give the pasta sauce some more time to evaporate and become thicker. As you kind of see already, as you're mixing, you see that it's getting chunkier. That's good. It's a good sign. So you don't necessarily need cornstarch to do this. It does take longer. Oh, absolutely. But it does get chunky over time. Just patience is key. Okay, so now it's time for me to give a quick taste test of the pasta sauce. Let's see if it's really good, if you get it. Now remember, when you're seasoning your pasta sauce, you don't have to copy me. You can do what you believe your pasta sauce is or what's required in the call. What's going to add more qualification does not mean yours needed. Just keep your pasta sauce to make sure that it can be appropriate. But if I can make sure that it's clean, and we'll go and dip it in. You kind of see here it's almost runny, and it's now more of a chunkier, but it's not what we're looking for. Put a glove on it. Perfect. Sweet. You had a little bit of lemon note to it, even though I didn't have lemon. It's literally kind of feel and taste the vodka being incorporated. Phenomenal. Good. It had a little bit of a slight kick to it. And you can really taste a little bit of the sliced garlic and a little bit of the basil. A little bit of the sugar actually incorporated makes it more of a sweet sauce rather than that of the more bitter sauce. That's exactly what we're going for the taste of pale vodka with juice. Which is a lot healthier than getting it in the store, but you can. So I'm really happy with what we made right now. We're going to let it simmer. But add a little bit more salt to add a little bit more taste to it. You guys have too much sugar. And when we add a little bit more salt, we should balance that out. Hopefully, rather sweetness. Well, I just really bring out more of that earthy type flavor. I added in, I grabbed some more oregano, fresh oregano from the garden, and some thyme. It's going to help us really incorporate more of that sort of taste that we're going for. Again, even though it's a pasta sauce, specifically more espresso, it is more penne vodka sauce. You want to have more of a flavor palette, something a little bit more earthy, more grounding. That's how it's made. And then I'm going to incorporate the flavor from the mussel into the sauce, and it's going to really, really bring out the flavor. Okay, so as you can see that the mussels are cooking very nicely. It smells amazing, actually. So I'm really excited. But we're just going to move it slightly around. And I would say about give it another 2 or 3 more minutes, and we should be good to pop it into the pasta sauce. Okay, so as you can tell, the mussels are done cooking. We're going to incorporate them just to make them slowly into the penne pasta sauce that we made. You want to be very careful that oil does not get on your stove, so it doesn't 20 minutes. And then we're going to taste test to see how it is. If we're good, if we are, we're done and we're ready for it. Okay, so now we're going to give it a quick taste test to see how it is and give it some time to cook simmer. And based on how it's called already, it smells phenomenal. More so that it gives fire when I combine the mussels and the penne vodka sauce together. I'm wondering if the flavor of the mussels will really bring out and enhance the flavor of the pasta sauce. And that's what we're going to find out right now. Perfect. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. So apparently the entire time I was trying to fix this, was trying to understand why the flavor wasn't coming out. You want to know what the missing ingredient was? It was the mussels. The mussels was needed to get the pasta sauce, and it really brings out the flavor. And so that you can get a little bit of spicy, a little bit of garlic, It'll really break out the flavor. And not even to mention the vodka sauce. Phenomenal. Making that one if you haven't done so already. It's phenomenal. Like I said before, some of your leftovers are because you get into actual pasta sauce. There's many ways to get pita. This is my favorite fried. It's my recipe. Let me know in the comment section if you made this. It tastes phenomenal. I cannot wait to serve it. Let's get it. Let's plate it. Let's see how it tastes. Okay, so those of you guys who are wondering about the consistency, you can kind of see it's definitely a lot different than it was earlier today. Kind of see it's definitely a lot thicker, a lot more healthy, and it smells great, it tastes great. And so this is exactly the consistency that you're looking for. This is all natural pasta sauce, not from a can, homemade. All right, so we're gonna set this aside, let it cool for a couple seconds. Now there's two ways that you can do this. You can incorporate your pasta and spaghetti into this mixture and add one and combine it, or you can keep them separate. For me, I'm gonna combine them. You're probably wondering right now, is this even any good? We're gonna try it right now. Nice and delicious. Delicious, it's tasty. It just really brings out the flavor of the ocean, but also using leftovers to really bring things back to life. And we're gonna try it right now. But let's go ahead, let's eat in, let's dig in, let's see what we're thinking. Mmm. Mmm. The sugar, the sweetness, the honey really brings out the flavor of the vodka. We'll have to have a little bit of that red crushed pepper to really knock it out of the park. Incorporate it with the garlic butter. Mussels really brings everything to life. This is phenomenal. You have to make this. We'll just go ahead and try some of the mussels right now. Mmm. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna eat more of this. This is delicious. But go ahead and make this, watch this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let me know in the comment section below if you guys made this. And what is your family recipe? What do you guys want me to make next? Anyway, guys, thank you for supporting the channel.